Batman #1 sold over 500,000 copies. That's the headline. It's also a complete and verifiable lie, and it's how the entire comic book industry is secretly manipulating you. So ICv2 publishes this report that proudly proclaims Batman #1 sold 500,000 copies. This is the new relaunch under Mac Fraction. The truth is that massive number from ICv2 isn't what you think it is. It's not a success story. It's a warning sign. It's the result of a strategy so risky, it nearly killed the industry once before. And today we're going to pull back the curtain on how blind bags and a variant cover arms race are artificially inflating sales figures. We'll find out what Batman #1 actually sold, or at least our best guess, why the mainstream media is failing you, and the bold, surprising point that this whole system is a ticking time bomb. Let's start with the headline that made a splash. Batman #1 tops 500,000 sold. On its face, that's an undeniable triumph. It means more people are buying comics than ever, right? No, wrong. In the beautiful words of Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka, so you get a little something, you get nothing, and you get a little something. This headline is the little something they want you to see, but the reality is nothing. An article by ICv2 is reporting sell-in figures, which is what publisher sells in to the distributors, not sell through what actually sells to you, the reader, the people who actually buy the comics, the consumer. The distinction isn't just important, it's the entire point. So how did they get to that 500,000 number? They created a gambling game. They used what are called blind bags. Imagine a pack of baseball cards, but instead of cards, you get a comic book. You don't know which cover you're getting, so you buy more, hoping for the rare one. On top of that, publishers force comic shops to order absurd numbers of common copies to even qualify for a chance at a rare variant cover. For example, to get one special cover, a shop might have to buy 200 copies of the regular one. This isn't selling comics, it's forcing and inflating inventory. Before we dig into the numbers and give you some use cases, I want to ask you a quick question. Are these high sales figures proof of a healthy industry to you? Or are they a red flag that we're headed for another bust? Drop your answer in the comments below, and while you're thinking, let's look at the ghost of Christmas past. Let's begin with the 90s. Do you remember the 90s? Are you old enough to remember the 90s? I am, and I do, but maybe not everybody does. The comics industry was a rocket ship at that time. Everyone was buying. An article from Screen Rant states that the best-selling comic of all time, X-Men #1, sold an absurd 8.1 million copies. But this was all driven by gimmick covers, speculation, and a false sense of investment. An article from Comic Buyer Center confirms that, like today's books, many of those 8.1 million copies were never actually read. They were hoarded, stored, and then promptly became worthless when the bubble popped. Retailers were left with warehouses of unsellable comics, and collectors were left with worthless paper. We are walking down that very same road today. So, of course, the obvious question is, what's the real number for Batman #1? Based on historical data from similar event comics, a conservative estimate for the sell-through rate is between 25 and 50%. Let me put that in context. That means out of the 500,000 copies that left the distributor's warehouse, only 125 to 250 actually made it into the hands of the reader. The rest, they're either sitting in the back room of your local comic shop, or they'll soon be on a one-way trip to the dollar bin. This isn't a theory, it's a pattern. Just look at the recent Invincible Universe Battle Beast #1 from Image Comics. An article from ComicsBeat confirms that it had over 400,000 in orders, a number fueled by a blind bag lottery system with a chase variant ratio of 1 out of 1,000. It's the exact same script. And if you don't know what a chase variant ratio is, it just basically means that they're going to have one special cover if you buy 1,000 copies. So that one cover, presumably if it's some special artist or it's signed by the writer or some famous person, will be worth the 999 that you had to buy that are just going to sit in a pile somewhere. It's the same pattern over and over again, and it's one that's creating a problem. Of course, this presentation is really focusing on kind of the shady schemes that the publishers use to bolster their numbers. But let's talk about the mainstream comic media and their hand in making this bubble of inflated reality. Why aren't they calling this out? An article from Publishers Weekly notes that sales of new comics were down at 73% of comic shops in 2023. This is the reality. So when an article from ICv2 reports a massive sales number without the critical context, it creates a false narrative. They're not just reporting the news, they're spinning it. Why would they do this? A cynical person might say they're part of a system that benefits from the hype. When a publisher announces a blockbuster month, it makes the whole industry look healthier than it is. It drives clicks, and it keeps the game going. But for us, the readers and the collectors, it erodes trust. You start to question if the media is a source of information or just a public relations arm for the big two. The real danger here isn't just about a single comic. It's about the long-term health of the industry. These practices are not designed to bring in new readers who just want to enjoy a good story. They're designed to fleece the existing audience, the speculators, the collectors, the people who already bought in. An article in Comic Book Collecting's subreddit suggests that this model scares away new readers who are confused by sheer volume of variants and the high prices of the chase comics. It's a short-sighted strategy that relies on big spenders, the whales. It creates a speculative bubble that, when it bursts, will leave retailers buried in undersold product and turn potential fans into cynical ex-readers. This is the definition of an unsustainable business model. Now let's think about the local comic shop owner. To get that ultra-rare Batman variant cover that could sell for $100, they might have to order 200, 300, or even 500 copies of the regular version that no one wants. A Reddit user in the r/comicbook subreddit notes that this puts small, independent shops at a huge disadvantage. It forces them to tie up their limited capital on product they know won't sell, just for the chance at a high-value piece. It's a high-stakes lottery where the house, in this case the publisher, always wins, and if the retailer can't get the rare one, they're left with all the worthless common variants. You came in with a gleam in your eye, and you leave having lost your golden ticket. So far, most of this discussion has been about the money, but it's not always just about the money. This focus on covers de-emphasizes the very thing that makes comics great, the story. An article from Zubtails on his blog points out that in this system, the focus shifts to the artist who can draw a popular cover, while the writer, the person creating the world and the characters and drafting the script, is often an afterthought. Multiple creators have mentioned how artists are getting big bucks to churn out covers, while writers are getting the shaft, and the result are poor stories with eye-candy covers. That is also incentivizing the publishers to lower their page rates for writers, which means you're going to get a lower quality writer turning out a lower quality story. We're back in a world where the cover is more important than the content, which is the exact lesson we should have learned in the 90s. So how do we reconcile the headlines of massive sales with the reality of struggling comic shops? The mainstream media, in its failure to provide context, is creating a massive contradiction that makes no sense to the casual observer. But once you understand the game, the contradiction disappears. The sell-in numbers are great for the publishers, but they're not reflective of a healthy ecosystem. The money is flowing in, but it's flowing from a very small, very invested group of people, not from a broad base of new, enthusiastic readers. And that, my friends, is a problem. It's the difference between a thriving forest and a single tree that's been artificially propped up. So what's the solution? How are we going to fix this problem? We as readers have the power to change this. We can vote with our wallets, and that's really the only thing you can do. Ignore the variant hype, ignore the blind bags, buy the comic for the story, find a writer or an artist you love and support their work. An article from Fortune Business Insights confirms that the comic market is valued at $16.83 billion. That's everything combined. But that's a number that's being driven by a very small portion of the market. Let's grow the market the right way. Let's focus on quality storytelling, not gimmick covers. It's time to move beyond the flash and back to the substance. All right, let's wrap this all up and summarize exactly what happened here. The $500,000 sales figure for Batman #1 isn't a win. It's a cautionary tale. It's a number inflated by gambling mechanics and retailer incentives that are designed to extract money from a narrow audience, not grow the industry. The mainstream media, by reporting these figures without the proper context, is eroding our trust and painting a false picture of a healthy market. But the truth is, the market is only as healthy as the stories we're reading and the readers who are buying them for the right reasons. If you found this analysis helpful, please hit that subscribe button. It tells me you want the truth, not the spin. It helps this channel grow, and it keeps us bringing you honest, data-driven analysis of the industry we all love. Now, go read comics, but read wisely. I'll see you next time for more comical opinions.